the channel. In today's video, it's one last fun video before we really get into the hardcore testing. This is a forward mode video done in very shallow water, and my son wanted to be a big part of these videos, so I'm gonna tell you what, anytime he wants to be part of it, I'm gonna let him be a part of it. He is actually in shallow water, about 4, 5, 6 foot. He is doing some swimming and some moving, and you get to see him, his arms and his legs, and you get to really take a look at both of the units and how capable they are in this shallow water to show something as simple as somebody swimming. Now, I can imagine in deeper water that the clarity would be a little bit better because you're not stirring up the bottom, the silt, and there's not as much oxygen bubbles. Maybe one day I'll dive in and let y'all see that yourself. But let's take a look at this video right here and, just kind of compare them. And I think it'll be real telling that just how much detail you can get. And both of them look incredibly, exceptional in this video. All right, guys, even though this is a fun video, we're going to do the LVS34 first and the LVS10 secondly. Even though it's a fun video, we can learn a few things about this. Both the LVS and the LVS32, the LVS34 and the LVS32, very clear. You can see, legs, arms flailing about. He's having a good time. He's dancing and doing his thing. But I want you to notice the areas around him. That's oxygen and mud being stirred up. Now, what I've noticed in both of these is the LVS34, the clarity around him in this, and then when I say extremely muddy water, is much better, in my opinion, than the 32. If you look right here, you can see him very clearly, and he gets up close, gets back far, does a lot of different stuff. He's dancing and swimming, but you can see real good clarity. And even though there's a lot of mud in the water, you can still see some fish swim up behind him, a little bitty brim and stuff like that. Now we're going to jump to the 10. Now notice the area around him as we start to kind of let him swim around. Those bubbles and mud and oxygen all around him, it's a lot cloudier, and that kind of affects him in some of the pictures. Now look, you can see here the oxygen bubbles have settled down a little bit and he is very clear. But when you get into those areas where there's a lot of mud and a lot of oxygen and a lot of bubbles being stirred up by him swimming, the clarity is not quite as much. Now when he comes in close right here, you can still see him walking very clearly. So both of those are very clear as long as there's not a lot of debris in the water. And I can guess this can kind of go into target separation. But as he starts to really flail about in some of these little areas and stirs up that mud and oxygen, that's when you lose the clarity of him as much. So from what I'm seeing in both of these deals is both of them do a great job. But when it comes to mud in the water, or possibly this may relate to later on down the line when we get to looking at some bushes, and I'll be bringing out the magic tree later on this week that I've used in so many of my videos with the LVS32. You'll get to maybe see some of the better target separation because we're going to be looking at some bushes and things like that. But both of them look really good as long as you don't stir that bottom up. And when you stir that bottom up a little bit, like right there, a lot of oxygen stirred up, and see, that's where the LVS34 kind of shined, and the LVS32 has its kind of limitations. So LVS34 definitely better, what I'm seeing so far. This is just a fun video. We're going to really dive into some really hardcore testing here before and then I'm going to try to really take some time and dial in the 34 and see, when I really dial it in without the 32 on the boat, just how good can I get it. You can see him right here. See all the oxygen and the mud and the bubbles being stirred up, how it kind of affects the picture of him. And I think that comes back to target separation, and maybe the 34 is just a little bit ahead in that regards. So, I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Okay, guys, how'd you like that? I mean, that is a pretty fun deal. Just one last little fun video before we really start diving into a lot of the testing. Tomorrow or the next day's video is going to be about you know, some long distance, how it picks it up, and you know, we're going to throw first bait we're going to go, of course, is an A-rig. We're going to try to throw it out there about 80-90 feet and see which units provide the best detail, clarity, and things like that. But guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing.